The case of Elisa Lam is one of the most disturbing and perplexing mysteries of the modern era, one that has haunted the internet, fueled countless theories, and left people asking the same chilling question: what really happened to her? Elisa Lam was a 21-year-old student from Vancouver, Canada, who decided in January of 2013 to take a solo trip down the west coast of the United States. A bright young woman with a passion for writing, reading, and exploring, she chronicled much of her life on social media and her personal blog. She battled at times with depression and bipolar disorder, something she shared openly in her posts, but she also displayed an optimistic and adventurous spirit. In Los Angeles, she checked into a place that had its own dark history, the Cecil Hotel. The Cecil Hotel, located on Skid Row in downtown Los Angeles, was no ordinary hotel. Built in the 1920s with luxury in mind, it had slowly decayed over the decades into something very different. By the 1980s and 1990s, it was associated with crime, drug use, and violence. Infamous serial killer Richard Ramirez, known as the Night Stalker, once stayed there. Another murderer, Jack Unterweger, used the hotel as his base while committing his crimes. Numerous suicides had occurred there over the years, cementing the hotel's reputation as cursed, haunted, or both. It was against this backdrop that Elisa Lam chose to stay at the Cecil in early 2013, unaware that she was about to become part of its dark history. At first, Elisa's trip seemed typical. She visited bookstores, cafes, and tourist attractions, sharing updates with her family back in Canada. But as the days went by, her communications suddenly stopped. On January 31st, Elisa failed to call home, which immediately concerned her parents. She was reported missing soon after. The Los Angeles Police Department began a search, checking the hotel, interviewing staff, and canvassing the area. Flyers with her photo were posted throughout the neighborhood, but no one knew where she had gone. Then came the video, released by the LAPD in February 2013. Security camera footage from inside the hotel's elevator captured Elisa's final known moments. The grainy black and white video shows Elisa stepping into the elevator, pressing multiple buttons, and then behaving in a way that baffled millions who would later watch it online. She appears to peek out of the elevator doors nervously, hiding in the corner as if someone might be following her. She steps in and out repeatedly, waving her arms in strange, almost ritualistic motions, pressing herself against the wall, then stepping out into the hallway, gesturing as though talking to someone unseen. At one point, she seems to be hiding from something, or perhaps playing a game, though her expression is anxious and confused. The elevator itself behaves strangely too. The doors remain open for an unusually long time before finally closing after she leaves. The video is unsettling, and when it was made public, it went viral. Millions of people around the world watched it, each offering their own theories about what it showed. Some believed Elisa was under the influence of drugs, though toxicology reports later did not support this. Others suggested she was having a psychotic episode related to her bipolar disorder, pointing to the erratic behavior as evidence. But there were also darker interpretations. Some insisted she was being followed, that someone off camera was stalking her and eventually forced her into silence. Others whispered about the supernatural, connecting her strange hand gestures to occult rituals, or suggesting she was interacting with a ghost. Conspiracy theories multiplied, with some even claiming the video had been tampered with, citing missing time stamps and odd jumps in the footage. For weeks, the mystery deepened. Guests at the Cecil began to complain about low water pressure, strange tastes, and discolored water coming from the hotel taps. Maintenance workers eventually checked the rooftop water tanks. On February 19, 2013, they made a horrific discovery. Elisa Lam's body was floating lifeless inside one of the large water tanks. She had been missing for nearly 3 weeks. The revelation shocked the world. How had she ended up there? The tanks were difficult to access, requiring someone to climb onto the roof, disable alarms, and open a heavy lid. The idea that Elisa had somehow entered the tank on her own seemed difficult to accept. Yet investigators ultimately concluded her death was accidental, citing her mental health struggles as a possible factor. But the explanation left many unsatisfied. The haunting elevator footage, the logistics of how she could have gotten into the tank alone, and the bizarre circumstances of the case fueled speculation that something more sinister had happened. Some argued she had been murdered, possibly by someone working at the hotel. Others pointed to the Cecil's long history of death and darkness, suggesting that Elisa had fallen victim to something paranormal. Internet sleuths pored over every detail of her life, her Tumblr posts, and the footage, trying to piece together clues. The case became a global obsession, a true crime mystery blended with ghost story intrigue. Even today, the disappearance of Elisa Lam is remembered as one of the most haunting internet mysteries of the 21st century. Her story has been the subject of documentaries, podcasts, and endless online discussions. The Cecil Hotel itself has since closed and reopened under new branding, but it can never escape the shadow of what happened there. Elisa's story endures not only because of the unanswered questions, but also because of the eerie, unforgettable imagery of her final moments. The elevator video remains one of the most disturbing and widely viewed pieces of footage on the internet, a window into a mystery that still defies explanation. The tragedy of Elisa Lam is not just about the unknown. It is also about a young woman's life cut short, about the dangers of untreated mental illness, and about how the internet can turn personal tragedy into worldwide fascination. But for those who believe in something darker, the case stands as evidence that places can be cursed, that some hotels, like the Cecil, carry with them an energy of despair that draws in tragedy again and again. Whether one believes Elisa's death was a tragic accident, a criminal act, or something otherworldly, her story will always linger in the collective imagination. The haunting image of her in that elevator, waving her arms to something unseen, will forever be a chilling reminder of the shadows we may never fully understand.